Today we are going to look at one of the explosive topic. We had a lot of questions yesterday. And personally, I love this topic because it's the space I love to do a lot of writing and the like. So because we don't have much time, quickly allow me to call upon the panelists who will help us to delve in this interesting topic. First on our list, we have Ms. Mwale, then we have Mr. Kaping'a, then we have Mr. Hamakuni. So today we're looking at digitalization of taxation and smart invoicing. So before we dive into our topic this morning, allow me to introduce the panel. I think we're going to do it individually. Ladies first, then we'll dive into our discussion.
Okay. Thank you very much. My name's Chipo Mwale Ngenda. I'm the Smart Invoice Change Manager. I hear we had interesting questions yesterday, and Gary held the fort. So today I'll be here to assist with any issues that have been experienced. My main role is just to assist with the transition. Smart Invoice is a new system, and you're basically moving from something to something new. So as ZRA, what we have put in place is how do we help you transition? How do we make it easier for you? What do we need to change? What do we need to maintain? So that's what the discussion will be all about. Thank you.
My name's Mr. Raymond Hamakuni, tax consultant, partner at HLB Zambia. I've been dealing with ZRA issues for over 12 years now. I've been following the introduction of Smart Invoicing right from July 2024. I've been part of the ZRA system, understanding it, and also to make sure that our clients are well looked after. So our coming on board today is to ensure that we are clear on this issue and any other questions that we'll be able to assist our clients. Sure.
Thank you very much. My name is Francis Kaping'a. I am Acting Director for Innovation and Project Management at Zambia Revenue Authority. So we are responsible for digitalization of the Zambia Revenue Authority. And in line with that, we look at the full landscape of Zambia Revenue Authority in terms of the services that we offer to taxpayers. How can we improve them? So my being here is to just help you understand how our digitalization is transforming the tax environment for the good, especially for the benefit of our taxpayers.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, you're looking so good. And now we are set for this wonderful discussion. Now, digital transformation is redefining tax administration globally. And Zambia is no exception. So today we're going to explore on how smart invoicing and digital platforms are reshaping revenue generation and taxation in general. So Zambia Revenue Authority has made steady progress in implementing digitalization of the tax ecosystem to help with compliancy and collection of revenue for government from taxpayers. A quick question I would love to pose is, the public needs to understand the bigger picture and impact of digitalization of Zambia tax system. What economic and compliance outcome does Zambia Revenue Authority and means of finance anticipate from these digital reforms? Yes.
Yeah, thank you very much. So that is a good question indeed, and I think it is quite a big one. I'll try to do my best to unpack it within the next few minutes. So when we look at digitalization, and which includes Smart Invoice, we have to first of all think about why Zambia Revenue Authority exists in the first place. So you know we are here for a number of reasons, but if I can try to distill them into two reasons, it would be to facilitate trade and also to mobilize revenue that is supposed to be used for public service delivery, for government operations and things like that. So as you may all be aware, I believe many of you have benefited from public health, government hospitals, the nurses that are being employed, the teachers, the free education that we have, the CDF, which is steering economic growth. Such kind of things come from, they are supported by money that we contribute to. And by the way, Zambia Revenue Authority has contributed, especially this year, we're going to contribute more than 70% to the national budget. So that means that what we are doing is very, very, very important to contribute to our socio-economic initiatives within the country, and also, of course, our economic growth. And just to give you some little bit of information on how we are doing. For example, in 2023, we collected 103 billion, and 2024, we collected 125 billion. This year, we are aiming to collect more than 155 billion. So that's a lot of money, and that is going into government operations and the economy of Zambia to benefit the citizens in many different ways. But for us to be able to meet these objectives, we have to be very creative in how we do our work, we have to ensure that we collect the revenues. So what that means is that taxpayers need to be compliant across many different dimensions. They have to be registered for taxes. They have to pay for their taxes. They have to we have to identify all the revenue leakages that exist, and we have to seal those ones. There's also tax fraud that you may be aware of. We need to have ways of us dealing with such kind of things. And additionally, we also need to ensure that we introduce process efficiency. Gone are the days when you needed to go to ZRA with a huge box of papers as you are going to file your taxes, because that is just not very efficient. But that is what used to happen about 12 years or so ago. But nowadays, now we have digital systems that are transforming that environment. Additionally, we also want to make the life of taxpayers very easy. We want to make lives of our taxpayers very easy, because it's there are so many pain points that taxpayers might have. We understand that paying taxes is a responsibility, and some people might not really want to do that, and some might find it easy to participate in that in payments of taxes. But how we encourage you is also that we try to digitalize our business processes so that we can make your life easy as well. And also we are looking to becoming data driven so that we can take advantage of data that we have now. Most of you are familiar with the issues of the topics such as AI and big data. So we are digitalizing our taxation landscape in order to generate data that is going to be used for that. So Smart Invoice does come in to become a very, very important part of that digitalization picture. As you know, it is helping us tap into the business world and have visibility in terms of what is happening. So when taxpayers register on Smart Invoice, we are able to track their VAT payment, the VAT tax-related transactions, and know what is due to the taxman, what is due to us, so that we can make collecting taxes easier. So what we have, just a little bit more about what we have done, different business processes that we have digitalized that are benefiting from our digitalized tax environment. That you may also want to think about. I think I already talked about things like taxpayer registration. You can now register for your taxes online using our systems such as Tax Online. You can do your tax filing online. You're no more going to Zidara with huge curtain boxes of paper. So that is all thanks to our digitalization. And also, you can make your tax payment online. That is more like 99% of all our payments are coming through online channels, and that is very commendable. And also, of course, I already talked about the impact of Smart Invoice, being able to invoice your clients. You can now use our different invoicing channels, our different invoicing solutions for that. And also, even some of you might have imported a vehicle or any goods. you find that you have a SCUDA that is being used to facilitate that process. So we are really looking at digitalization as something that is a very, very important component of what we do. And for us, really digitalization, just to wrap up on that one, is to help us fulfill our mandate, is to help us be able to collect revenue that we are supposed to collect, and that is being used in the country to fund a lot of socio-economic activities and our developmental initiatives. Thank you.
Okay. Miss Mwale, the bigger picture.
Yes, the bigger picture. I like the base Francis has given us. We're looking at digitalization. What is the end picture? Of course, it's not just using digital solutions, but we want to see change. We want to see improvement. It's about innovation. It's about changing business models. And that is what Smart Invoice comes to do. When we started with, before Smart Invoice, we had electronic fiscal devices. Before that, for those that are registered for VAT, we had cash registers. So you find that there's transition. You start from manual invoicing, you go to cash registers, you go to electronic fiscal devices, then Smart Invoice. So everyone is, if you look at the trend, what we're looking at is how our clients are invoicing. So when you're looking at Smart Invoice, it's a software-based solution that is used for transactions, invoicing, and the expectation is that this is real-time information. So you issue an invoice, the information is transmitted to ZRA, and you have an invoice that you're able to verify. So already we're starting to drill down to the invoice. Before, what we had was a lot of fraud on the market, and we need to get this out of the picture, because as long as you have fraud still happening and you have people manufacturing invoices, it means you're not able to account for the correct taxes, which is very important for ZRA. So you ask me big picture, definitely revenue collection, increased revenue collection, but it's something that is transcending, it's something that is growing. So the first part that you see is the transparency. Before, people would issue invoices and you have a whole month to cook your books, but that won't be possible with Smart Invoice. It means immediately I issue this invoice, the information is being transmitted. And what we all need to remember is that with invoicing, as long as you don't get a receipt or an invoice, there's no evidence that the transaction has happened. So we start from the basics at ZRA. So you have this transparency, you have your invoice that is being issued, you have evidence. So even if someone doesn't go and file that return, I have this invoice which I issued. For B2B transactions, there's claiming that is there. And for a long time, I think we've complained about the refund process. But if we have this information where I issue an invoice and your details are there as a customer, it means you have the real-time information. We know exactly how much you're going to claim. We know what information is coming through our system. So then we start removing the people that are reducing that cake that is supposed to be shared, which is very important. And year in, year out, we complain about taxes as individuals and how they keep going up. But the only way this goes down is if everyone contributes. And that is the concept of Smart Invoice. So in terms of implementation, of course, mandatory date was announced for those on value-added tax, VAT, but we're going to those on turnover tax, all these taxes, because we all know everyone is issuing these invoices, but how many people are actually declaring the correct account? So if you're able to capture the tax base, if you're able to ensure that the informal sector is being drawn in, then the bigger picture starts to become reality. And the only way we do it is invoicing one invoice at a time. So one Smart Invoice at a time, making sure that your information is transmitted.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Hamakuni, the bigger picture.
I followed my two colleagues. They have spoken well. Yes, I do agree with them. As much as there are notable benefits arising from Smart Invoicing, but I think it's got... they still have a mountain to climb in terms of sorting out. I think the issues that Smart Invoice is also meant to do is to minimize errors on the invoices that are caused by manual invoicing. So when you go the e-way, it means we're trying to avoid errors and probably get accurate information. With this information that is on the Smart Invoice might also actually lead to financial reporting. Now, if that information is not accurate through the smart invoicing, then we have quite a huge problem. It means even the intentions will not be achieved. I am aware that data analytics will help the Ministry of Finance to try and understand the business trends. But the challenge that we're having now is the information that we have as taxpayers and the information in the system through the smart invoicing do not match. The system tends to have technical errors that to change information. What you have put in and what comes out is not the same. So I think we still have that problem in terms of controlling the outcome, in terms of looking at the big picture.
Okay, yeah. Interesting. So, Ms. Mwale, one interesting thing is a few pointers that have come up. But quickly, let's dive in and learn what is the composure of this system called Smart Invoice.
All right. So when we developed the Smart Invoice, of course we know it's an invoicing solution, but we're also alive to the different business needs that our clients have. So even in terms of invoicing, it's not just something where you raise an invoice and it has tax computation, no. So we do have functionalities on our system where you have a provision to change your information. So remember, it's an application, so you need to be able to set your password, you need to be able to set who will be using the system, who have access to what rights on your system. So you already have that functionality. You have your customer management. It means you're able to save the customer information on this particular platform. So by the time that you're issuing this invoice, you have all the information that is there. And one of the things that we have now implemented, there was a question of, when we started, you'd have provision to put TPIN and customer name. Then everyone was asking, but Zedaria, you have this information, so if I key in the wrong TPIN, I should know somehow, because this is coming from your system. And this is a validation that has been introduced on our online platform, the ZRA system. So when you're keying in your TPIN, it will actually verify with Tax Online, and if your TPIN is correct, it will auto-populate the names of the company. For those that are claiming, then it means already that's one validation already done. So apart from that, you have reports that you need. So you have your sales report, your purchases report. I think he's talked about inputting information and it's not coming out the way it is. So what we need to be aware of is the fact that we have different invoicing solutions on the market. So on the ZRA end, what we provided were some of the free solutions, the online application, you have the desktop application, you have the mobile application, then there's your certified invoicing system. So I'm really trying to see where the error could be. So now we need to drill down to, is it all the applications that are having this error, or do we have a situation where someone came through, developed a system, implemented it differently? So we have post-implementation checks that we do, and definitely this is something that we need to follow up on. So my comment would be, whenever there's an issue, you need to let us know, because if no one comes to ZR and tells us there are wrong computations happening, then no one will know that this is happening on the ground. So it allows us to then now start drilling down and ensuring that whatever issues are there are actually resolved. Okay. So that would be a summary.
Interesting. Mr. Kaping'a. So we have the desktop, then we have the online, we have the mobile application. Now, I had a chance just to, on the technical side, just to check out the integration, the full package of the system. Now, where does the online and the desktop and the application apply? Is it for everyone? Anyone can use that, or there are specific industries?
Thank you. Thank you for that question. Maybe before I tackle that, I just wanted to support my colleague Chipo on the issues of data discrepancies. I think that cannot be a prevalent problem. Otherwise, the system operations would come to a halt. There could be isolated errors. You know, when you're deploying new systems, normally there might be a few bugs. I'm a software engineer by training, so I believe we have at least one or two other software developers in the audience, so there could be issues like that. But those things, as Chipo said, if you come across something like that, you need to highlight it so that we can fix it right away. because that would undermine the existence of that system. It wouldn't work. So yes, you asked me a question about the different solutions that we have. We have the online invoicing channel. As Chipo really well articulated, as we are trying to serve our taxpayers, so we have this Smart Invoice that we want everyone to use, but we understand that the taxpayer environment is very diverse. There are different types of taxpayers that are doing different things and that are of different sizes. So the requirements, the invoicing requirements will vary. So we have the certified invoicing system, of course, that is for the large taxpayers, especially those that are registered for VAT. The big ones that you might know, like supermarkets, those ones mostly are going to use that certified invoicing system because they have their own accounting packages. So they will integrate with our Smart Invoice after getting certified. So that is a solution that is for them because they are big, they already have their own accounting systems. But then there are also others, especially SMEs and or maybe micro enterprises as well, those that might feel like they don't really want to invest, they don't have the money that it takes to invest in those huge accounting systems. They can use our desktop applications where with your computer, you can just, your laptop or desktop, you can just use our software, install it on your system and start invoicing your taxpayers. So that is actually, you can even consider it more like a free software that you get from us that will help you to manage invoicing. And then we also have a few other individuals that might be like, no, I think for me, I don't even have a setup where I'm normally dealing with taxpayers in one environment. I'm moving up and down, offering different services to taxpayers. You can also take advantage of our very mobile channels, invoicing channels, such as the online invoicing solution. So wherever you go, you can just use all you need is just to use the web. So you can use the web version that you can log in and issue invoices. And then we also have mobile applications. The mobile app channel where you can get, where you can install a mobile app on your phone and issue invoices. And this, I think, is it's very ideal for taxpayers like some of us here that might have one or two flats, and you want to issue invoices for rental income. So that is going to be something ideal for you. So there are a number of different solutions that you can explore that can actually benefit you and your business. But the most important thing is to make sure that you get in touch with us. You first of all register for the right taxes, because that might also guide which way to go. And also look at your size and you evaluate yourself and see which channel is going to be much more suitable for you, which one is going to be convenient for you.
Okay. Interesting. Now, just a follow-up question on the data security. There was a point which was raised. What confidence are you giving to the taxpayers on the data security?
Data security, I like to, that is a good question. I like to brag that ZRIM is a technology-driven tax administration. And actually, we are moving from just being technology-driven tax administration to being a data-driven tax administration that is using technology and data massively. And when we talk about data, we are not just talking about Smart Invoice. Smart Invoice is a new system. Actually, we've just had it. Is it for like 2 years now or so? But we've had many other systems for quite some time, like a Tax Online where you register. That is mostly used for domestic taxes. And then we also have a Scuda World that is used for customs, that is cross-border transactions. And then we also have Moses, for example, that is used for mineral value chains. And then now we have Smart Invoice that is very big. It's being used on a daily basis to consume a lot of economic data for taxpayers. So we understand that having this data means that we have to be very responsible with the data that we're handling for taxpayers. So for us, we don't take that responsibility lightly. We ensure that we do everything that we can do to secure taxpayer data in order for us to put your mind at ease. You are entrusting us with the data. So we have to make sure that we do what we can do. So when we look at just the Smart Invoice itself, the unique features that secure the transactions in terms of the data. First of all, you have the QR code that will give you the confidence that the invoice that you are getting is actually one that has been validated. It's a ZRIA Smart Invoice. It's an invoice that is admissible. The reason is that if not getting or not getting that invoice has got implications. For example, if you have to get a VAT refund, we are not going to allow if the invoice is not a smart invoice. We want one that has passed through our system. So you need to ensure that your invoice is validated. So there's a QR code to help you with that. And then also to talk more about other security features that you have when you are registering your devices, your gadgets, there is a unique key that is issued for that invoicing, that particular invoicing system. So those unique keys are used to authenticate you as a taxpayer so that your transactions have got a tagging of that key in order to distinguish you from other taxpayers, but also in order to secure your transactions with Zambia Revenue Authority so that no one else can go and masquerade as yourself and getting you into some tax fraud and other problems. So that ensures our security. But then there are also other security features that we do. I will not go too much into details on that. I don't want to bore the crowd, but we also have, for example, we pay attention to securing our network as well, the communication channels, use protocols such as HTTPS to ensure that we actually secure the communication channels between the client systems, whether you're using the web or the app or the desktop, to the servers that we have with Zambia Revenue Authority. So that channel is well encrypted and secured. And then we also use things such as network security, such as firewalls and things like that within the ZRIA. And most importantly, we have very expert security personnel. We have a whole unit dedicated to ensuring that we have security across many platforms. That includes Smart Invoice as well. And also, when it comes to data on the ground, we make sure that it is well secured. And we are not going to allow just any other person going to access the data, even if you're a member of staff. So you have to access only the data that you are cleared to access. So we take that very seriously.
Okay.
Thank you.
Interesting. Mr. Hamakuni, whenever a system is introduced, there are some pains. From the industry experience, what are some pains users are experiencing?
Yes, thank you very much, moderator. The pains, to answer your question, firstly, Zambia is trying to move towards a digital way of doing things. However, I think our internet infrastructure hasn't yet reached the levels where every taxpayer can access the system and be able to move at the rate that you want to move. So that's the pain number one. Second pain, as I did allude in my first speech, is on the technical part of the software. I mean, they have spoken about the online, which is mainly for service-driven industries, and then we have the other one, which is desktop, which is meant for those that are involved in production, stock management, and all that. Currently, as we are talking, if you are going to deal with things to do with the discounts, things to do with the credit notes, we have a challenge on the partial. On the partial, if there be any return of any goods partial from the main invoice, to adjust that within the system, the VAT component either is wiped away completely or it remains on the record. So you think that by issuing a credit note, you have reduced both the actual value and the VAT value. You haven't done so. So that's another big pain and now that is prevalent on desktop and also on the online, which is the web. So we have those pains that we go through, apart from the internet teething issues that are prevalent, that most taxpayers that we deal with have to contend with. I think that answers the question.
Okay. Ms. Mwale, what are some of the challenges you have received from the taxpayers concerning smart invoicing? Some of them have been alluded to. Would you like to take that?
All right, thank you, and thank you. Internet infrastructure. This is something that even as ZRA, when we created the system, what we did is provide for 72 hours in which you're required to transmit this information. Of course, on your typical day, you should be able to do this immediately. But what we did is ensure that we provide for this provision. So just in case you have intermittent connectivity on that day, you're still able to transmit these invoices at the end of the day. So we provided for offline invoicing. Of course, the online solution is web-based, so you won't be able to invoice if you're offline. And that is something that we actually tell our users. Online solution is good for people in the service industry because you have a time between when you make that deal and when you actually need to issue the invoice. So you have time to troubleshoot. But if you're in a business which is fast-moving, desktop application is definitely something you want to use because then it has that provision for working offline. I think there was the issue on the technicality. This is something that we have been improving over time. I think when we just started, especially with our solutions, we had the mobile application, which was just Android-based, but now you're actually able to use a Smart Invoice on iPhone, and we keep bringing in these new provisions so that you're able to use the applications. We're looking at ways to make it simpler, the processes that are there, how best are you able to issue your invoices. For those on desktop application, we've made provisions for the use of templates, which provide a shortcut for you when you're invoicing. So the processes are a bit shorter, realizing that for certain businesses, it's fast moving, so there has to be a quicker way of doing that. On the issue of credit notes, what we all need to be aware, because of the feedback that has been coming to us, is the first thing that we did, especially for Smart Invoice, is the partial credit note. If you had used our old electronic fiscal devices, if someone is returning an item, you'd need to issue a full credit note, then reissue the invoice. So one of the features that Smart Invoice came with is the partial credit note. So partial credit note allows you to return part of the item. So when returning, it will adjust the quantities. But what I think we need to be careful about is that we also made provision of what we call a value credit note. So value credit note works in businesses that have probably payment agreements. Would be doing business and I let you know, I'm doing this transaction, it's a credit transaction, but if you pay within 2 months, I'm going to remove some of the money that you should have paid back. So full invoice issued at 10,000 and the tax computations are made. So I come back to you and say, okay, here's your money. And I said I'll remove 2,000. So remember, this is a business transaction. It's a business environment. So on the tax part, it won't affect the tax computation. So someone will issue a credit note, and it will only, what a credit note being the value credit note, so it will only affect the value. Tax computation will remain as is. For a credit note, it will definitely, your normal credit note, your partial credit note, and full credit note, the tax computations are taken account of. So if we have a situation where you're just doing a partial credit note or a full credit note, and the tax is not being affected and then there's something definitely wrong, and we need to look at that. But if it's a value credit note, what you need to know is that that is how it's meant to work. It's a business transaction that you have a business relationship with someone, so ZRA will not be affected by your good business relationship. Remember, it's only affecting that one party. I think we have the same discussions over discounts. Is it a trade discount? Is it a cash discount? So it's in the same family. Okay. With implementation, of course, one of the things that we had when we started, especially with our training, it was full-time physical training. So we needed to have physical sessions, but what we realized is that people are busy. So then we started online sessions. From that, we discovered people don't want to be in class. So then we start looking at manuals, which are now on the website. We start looking at videos. So these are things that we have been implementing over time. Okay. I think beginning of the year was an interesting year for, I think, most accountants, especially with the return filing. those months, I think, were crazy for all of us.
Okay.
So it's not just you. We also had sleepless nights in just ensuring that the validation happens the way it should. So before, because we're coming from an environment where these validations were not happening on the system, then all of a sudden it matters that your tipping was captured correctly. And that's why you see us keeping on improving the system so that it's refined in such a way that it's still easy for you to use. So we're here as ZRA. We are a listening party.
Okay.
Yes, and we're here to get feedback and ensure that we keep on improving and ensure that the system works as it should.
Okay, sounds good. Mr. Hamakuni, as an industry expert and the tax consultant, do you feel that the Smart Invoice system has catered also for informal traders and informal businesses?
I would say we still have work to do under Smart Invoicing. Sorry, thank you, moderator. We still have work to do, especially on the informal sector. Most of the Zambian informal sector are not like I would say are not as well established as the formal sector in terms of physical space where they're located and all that. So the Smart Invoice has gone further to provide for them through the use of phones. My colleague here has said there was Android, now there is also smart iPhone that can work for them. But I think most of them may not even have access to the iPhones because of I'm sure we know the cost of an iPhone. So it's not, for me, I think that sector is still left out. We still have a lot to do because of the tools that they need to have to be able to burn smart invoicing. Sure.
Okay. Now, as we wrap up our session, I would love to pose this question to my panelists. No, the system always comes with challenges. As ZRA, what are you doing to enhance compliance for the informal sector as well? And what could be some of the challenges that you are facing? Any can take it.
Yes, I can start. So challenges, of course, will be there, but the idea is resolving them and resolving quickly. When we started, we had, of course, an emailing group. Would say, write your emails to advice center, advice@zra.org.zm. Then we drew it down. We realized you've introduced Smart Invoice, and certain questions would be specific. So then we introduced Smart Invoice at zra.org.zm. So that's another channel. From there, we have our helpline, the 4111. Later on, if you've noticed, the past 4 months, we have what we call a monthly bulletin that we have been publishing. Right at the back, we now give you contact numbers for each and every station. So what we realize is that Smart Invoice is real time and people need feedback quickly. So then we provide this platform. Then we realize that you have so many businesses out there, but we need feedback. So how do we organize the feedback that is coming in? Then we create what we call the Smart Invoice Working Group, where you have representation from a lot of associations, Zika being one of them, and you also have different parties involved. Our chairperson being currently Patrick Marire, who's from the business side. So you have a balance. You have ZRA, you have the business. We come to a table and say, okay, we want ABCD done. What is in the law? What's not in the law? Where can we compromise? So the idea is providing platforms where this feedback can be actually provided. So challenges will always be there, but the idea is that they need to be resolved and resolved quickly. And these are some of the things that we've put in place. The WhatsApp groups, it looks ridiculous sometimes when you're asked to follow a WhatsApp channel, but it actually helps. You follow ZRA WhatsApp channel, you get reminders on your tax due dates. You get reminders on where you're able to actually whistleblow when someone doesn't issue you an invoice. I think we've also had issues with foreign languages. So a notice comes out, and this information is right there. So it's very important that we start utilizing these platforms. In that way, then we're able to resolve some of the issues that are currently in our space.
Oh, sounds good.
I don't know if I have a second.
Yeah, please.
All right, thank you. So I think we are doing quite a lot to address the gaps that we have when it comes to the informal sector. Many things have already been highlighted by my colleague, but just to add there, we also have a huge department called taxpayer education. So we have a lot of activities out there that are trying to aim at formalizing this space by giving them the relevant education that they need. We have really realized that there's a huge information gap when it comes to taxation, because many actually have only come to ZRA because, especially the small players, they come to ZRA because of two things. One is when they need to open an account somewhere, and then they are told that, oh, you need a tip-in. That's when they'll be like, oh there's ZRA. Otherwise, before that, they don't think about ZRA. So we are trying to reach out to them to give them the information they need. But of course, we are also taking advantage of such kind of tools that we have, such as legislation, to mandate people to register as taxpayers before they can open an account, for example. And also, another reason taxpayers come to us normally is a tax clearance certificate. So the informal sector, even if you're in the formal sector, if you want to do certain things, you want to trade with government, you want to trade with certain mines, for example, you will be required to have a tax clearance certificate. So that will force you to come to us and make sure that you formalize your dealings with from the perspective of Zambia Revenue Authority. So that is a tool that we're using. But in addition to that, we're also, I talked about investment in digitalization. We're also investing in things like big data. So what that means is that now going forward, it will become very tricky for you to do business, let's say across the border, you are busy importing and exporting, but then when you are not registered for any taxes, that is not going to happen. So by using a lot of data from different sources, we will be able to tackle the issues of non-compliance within the informal sector. And also, yeah, and also one thing that is very important for us to note is that when we talk about informal sector, mainly, we are not exactly talking about the men and women that is on Cairo Road trying to sell bananas and things like that. We're actually talking about real, there are big taxpayers that are making, let's say, about just for argument's sake, maybe about 50,000, 100,000 kwacha or so, 200,000, in 500, sometimes even millions per month. But they are just not visible to the tax administration. So those ones, in that context, we call them informal because they have not formalized their dealings with us. So those are the ones that will be found. They will be found. We have a lot of initiatives to come up with a lot of interfaces that will enable us to obtain data from different sources. So over time, we think we're going to close that gap.
Okay.
Yeah, but taxpayer education is what we want because we want voluntary compliance.
Oh, yeah.
So we want to make sure that we educate taxpayers so that they can come willingly. More like if you go to Scandinavian countries, they love to pay taxes. I've never seen people that love to pay taxes like those ones in Scandinavia. So we want to get to that point. I hope we'll get there. But if people don't come willingly, we'll still find them.
Okay.
Thank you.
That sounds good. Mr. Hamakuni, your thoughts?
Yes, now smart invoicing is a new concept in the Zambian business. It has come with its own challenges. Yes, the intentions are very clear and very good. Now, the major concern that we have as taxpayers is that because of these bottlenecks that we go through, that we encounter, it affects return submission. And immediately there are penalties. So it means, therefore, that we are causing a problem there to a payer out there who is supposed to bring the revenue. And to some extent, the ZRA has taken this as now a weapon to make more money through penalties. We are now spending more time to resolve those issues instead of focusing on the business processes. So my suggestion would be, I don't know how possible it is, but during this trading, maybe the first 1 year or 2 years, how I wish penalties arising out of smart invoicing challenges could be put on hold, not applicable at all. Right now, penalties are killing the bit. They have to fight for waivers and it's taking time. Yeah, so my concern are challenges. Penalties should probably we need to reconsider on whether we have to apply penalties on issues that are not as a result of fault of the taxpayers out there.
So, Ms. Moore, I'm about to wrap up this session. In 1 minute, are you able to respond? Then we close.
2023 pilot, 2024 March launch, 2024 July mandatory dates, 2024 October, you had a grace period. So 2023, 2024, no penalties. 2024 July, grace period is announced, no registrations, no usage on the system. So a whole year was provided for our taxpayers registered for value-added tax. Penalties should have come in at that point, even in October. System-generated penalties only came in February for non-registration. So if we are being fair with the institution, I think we have provided grace period. When we had issues with the return filing, January, February, March, all those penalties that came through that time were actually sorted out administratively from ZRA. So after that period, everyone was asked, are you okay? And people were fine. And people have been filing returns. So if there's still issues that are being faced in that area, I think it's important that we come back to the table and understand, is it actually even a smart invoice problem, or there are other issues that we need to drill down to? So from my end, that would be my response.
Okay. No, because we've run out of time. Personally, I had questions, but we can address them in the question and answer session. I know there are many burning questions in the audience. The moderator will do justice for us in that session so that we can allow another session to take place. But I'm grateful. You have been a good panel and very educative in your articulation. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay.